I have definitely grown more libertarian as I've dug into things and started this channel. Thanks for joining. I go by Osiris. I'm in the middle because I'm in the middle of the populist left and right, and I do like the Libertarian Party, the LP. And the reason why is that I've seen more and more, the more that you dig in, the more that I see that our government is corrupt, inept, and they don't deserve to manage the money that they take from us. You could say steal. It's not an option. It's a corporation that has guaranteed revenue and still spends over their budget. And this video from Farzad Mezabahi, a former Tesla employee who has blown up to a quick extent on YouTube because his content is excellent. Let me show you the problem. Here's the problem with government.
Starting this year in 2023, U.S. buyers can receive up to $7,500 in tax credits when purchasing an electric or hybrid-powered car. This is because of the Inflation Reduction Act, which was signed into law in the United States in 2022.
They called the bill, the spending bill is called the Inflation Reduction Act. But so it's going to give you credit for EVs. They're very sensitive about this topic when you talk about the weather and the changes, and you might use the C word, the climate. That's what it's supposed to do. They say that these electric batteries are better for all of that. So your bill should reward companies that are doing more of the electric batteries naturally. But that's not what's going to happen here.
One of the main driving forces of the bill was to bring EV manufacturing capability to the United States and prepare for a smooth transition to the next generation of vehicles. However, the way this bill is being applied is completely broken. Let me show you why by comparing 5 models with the Tesla Model Y, which is a pure electric 5-seater SUV. We'll start with the Audi Q5 e-Quattro. It gets 61 miles per gallon equivalent and a maximum EV range of 23 miles. And it is eligible for a $7,500 EV tax credit. This is the BMW X5 xDrive 45e.
So the important part to look at here is these are hybrids, is what he's talking about here. So they only get so much miles on the battery. Me, myself, the electric cars are better. I've test driven them. Basically, I won't get into the, I can vouch for Teslas. They are way better for me, for my purposes, than gas cars. Everybody has different purposes, though. But my point is, these hybrids are gas vehicles. They're gas vehicles with a little bit of battery power that gets you around. It's better than nothing, but it just gets you around a little bit each day. It's not like you're spending the whole day on the battery if you're going to do any extensive driving. So take a look at the range on the battery. Then they do this calculation to say, here's the effective miles per gallon. If you were to compare it to a gas car, how many miles per gallon would you get?
It's a 5-seat SUV with a hybrid powertrain just like the Audi. It gets 50 miles per gallon equivalent and 31 miles of EV range. It starts at $65,525 and just like the Audi is eligible for the $7,500.
So these are eligible for the tax credit. Let me go forward to the Jeeps and then, let's go forward to these and then you're going to see the takeaway here.
Equivalent and 25 miles of EV range. It starts at $60,360 and believe it or not, it is eligible for the $7,500 electric vehicle tax credit. One more ridiculous example? Sure. This is a Jeep Wrangler 4xe. It's a 5-seat SUV with a hybrid powertrain. It gets 20 miles per gallon equivalent and 21 miles of EV range. It starts at $54,735 and you guessed it, it is eligible for the
20 miles per gallon equivalent? That's nothing, even with the hybrid battery. So these things are basically just hybrid, just to be hybrid.
Let me compare it to something that's probably going to make you very confused. This is a Tesla Model Y. It's a 5-seat SUV with a pure EV drivetrain, meaning that its drivetrain components are batteries and electric motors only. Because of this, it gets 117 miles per gallon equivalent and 330 miles of EV range. This is 10 times more than any of the other cars we just looked at. It starts at $65,990 and you guessed it, wait, Actually, no. It is not eligible for the EV tax credit. That's right, it gets zero. Nada. Very confusing, right? And it's not just Tesla. The Ford Mustang Mach-E with similar specs is stuck in the same conundrum with some of its trims. But you may ask, how the hell is this possible? How can a pure...
So you see, if you're just listening, just to make sure we're following along, the car that gets 10 times the range, the car that is all EV, not just Tesla, also the Ford, gets zero tax credit. Remember, the tax credits for this were supposed to be for that important stuff all up in the sky and the environment to save our planet. That's what it's supposed to be for.
EV not be eligible for the EV tax credit? If so, I am right there with you and would love it if you throw me a like in order...
I'm going to stop there because that's the basics I wanted to talk about it. That's what I wanted to talk about. This is not new. I don't know for sure if it's incompetence or, on purpose intent. If there's intention behind it. I would think there's intention because I was chatting with Sawyer Merritt, who's a big Tesla news type of guy, and a whole Mars blog on Twitter about this back when the act was signed. We're going back and forth because not in the, arguing. We're talking about this because my take was I said they were going to try to find a way to keep Tesla out of it. Now, Ford got caught up in it too. I don't know if they're trying to keep Tesla out to get 0%, because what they really want to do is these legacy automakers, Ford got caught up in it too. So that my theory there might be just debunked, but the incompetence is proven. The legacy automakers are going to go debunk. They can't catch up with Tesla. They don't have the processes in place to be able to build electric cars on the scale. That's the important part. Anybody can build 1 or 2 electric cars. Can you get the price point down? Can you build them in the millions? I believe Tesla's Q4 just came out. I believe it was 1.4 million sold. That's not easy for these EVs. Nobody can do that other than Tesla. So what they wanted to do was try to do a buyout or a bailout of the legacy, in my opinion. I don't know what happened with Ford. They're using the technicality to say these cars aren't really SUVs. Bottom line, all this stuff about the weather is nonsense when you see where the dollars go. If you really wanted to do it, this is why I say it can't be by accident. There's nothing I know that they don't know. If you wanted to do a tax credit, which I am not for, that's really taking our money and giving it to these car companies, we don't need to do that. You don't need to influence the market. That's why people use these terms like communism. I don't even know what to call it, but it's government getting in the way of business, of a free market that's not a free market anymore. The demand will determine the price. Just like I'm not for increasing the minimum wage. The demand will determine your wages. So they step in, say $7,500 credit for a Jeep that gets 20 miles per gallon, even with the E. It gets 21 miles per gallon. That's nothing. If you wanted to do it the right way, what you would say is, how many miles are you able to go? You could do miles per gallon, or however you want the E mile per gallon. The miles per gallon equivalent to electric vehicle, how much do you have? If you've got the E, the battery that only gets it to 21 miles per gallon, you get, people who buy your product will get $100 rebate or something like that. If you can get it up where like Tesla is, if you get it over 200 miles per gallon E, then you get the full 75. That's how you would do it. That's not rocket science. It's the proof that they are not telling the truth about a lot of this stuff is right there before your very eyes. Let me know what you think. I am a Tesla supporter. I know I've been critical of Elon on free speech and all that. I will criticize where I need to criticize and praise where I need to praise. Tesla's the best American company that I'm aware of that's ever existed, and they'll get through that. I'm not trying to shed any tears for them. My takeaway is, don't believe these people when they tell you what this nonsense about, we're worried about the end of the world. No, you're not.